Okay, so today we get to talk about homeschooling, and specifically when your children are younger, should they live in this kind of poetic season where it's nature time, out of doors play, reading? Do we want to force academics on them or not? And I mean, obviously the answer and how I phrase that sounds obvious, but you'll have to listen to see. This was in response to a few reader questions that we got, just questioning those early years, knowing that I am a proponent and we are proponents of Charlotte Mason's philosophy when it comes to raising children, allowing them to just be children, and also build intentionality before starting rigorous academics. Do we do that in our homeschool? Do we not do that in our homeschool? And do we have any regrets with our older children that, aren't that old for reference sake? They're 8, 7, and 6. Back when we were starting them at, 3, 4, and 5. So if you enjoy this episode, give it a thumbs up. We have a lot more homeschool content over on Substack, which I will link below. And it means so much when you share this podcast with a friend. So thank you guys so much for listening.
The Now That We're a Family podcast.
Okay, before we jump in, I do want to let our listeners know that our back to school campaign is near its end. And so this is kind of like your last chance to jump in on that 20% discount to join any of our piano, fiddle, guitar, mandolin courses. We just came out with a brand new fiddle course, Fiddle 4. We came out with a brand new ukulele course, a brand new piano course. So we've got a lot going on. We've got a really fun challenge that I'm going to announce here shortly that is going to be taking place in October. And so if you start this month, that kind of gives you some time to get you or your child or, whoever it is taking lessons to kind of get them established in their lessons and with their instrument before this next challenge gets underway. And so anyways, check the link below if you want to jump into Voteberg Music Academy this fall.
Okay. Also, we were just in the Kajabi, I guess, I don't know if you guys know it's Kajabi or not, but our website question box that you guys submit questions to. And two things stuck out. One was a gal asked all my old Q&A videos with my mom. We took down on YouTube because we took down all of our old content on our YouTube channel. And she asked where to find those. So those are all in the Get It All Done Club. And if you aren't familiar with the Get It All Done Club, it is where I encourage women and teach women to go from drowning in their homes to thriving in motherhood. And so it's a place where I still get on live and do an hour Q&A monthly. I love visiting with the thousands of women that have gone through that course. We usually just have about 150 or so on the live each month, but it's just a really special time. It's an incredible community. I can't, off of social media, which I love, I can't speak for the women enough over there. I think they give very good advice in and of themselves. But also I have dozens and dozens and dozens of videos talking about everything from helping grow peacefully productive children to creating a peacefully productive home, home management, things that have helped our home run smoothly for years now. And I think it will be helpful for you going into this fall season. It is a big purchase. It is a lifetime purchase. So I understand that, but Christmas is, on the horizon. And if you're just getting back into that season of organizing your home, that might be helpful. One other thing I saw, this is not going to be an ad for a program that we run, was a gal asked, I would like to see a podcast on things you do not know the answers to yet. And she gave a lot of different options. And it was funny because I was reading through all the options and I was like, yeah, we don't have answers to everything.
To anything?
Yeah. Like that would actually be an accurate podcast of what my brain is thinking right now. But how do you share about that? It's like, we don't have the answers in homeschooling. We don't have the answers in theology. We don't have the answers with child rearing. We don't have the answers with marriage. Life is good, but we are just learning a lot right now, I feel like.
Yeah, it's like that's an interesting concept of what do you know? What do you know the answers to? And apart from a few math problems I did when I was younger, I don't know if I really know. No, I mean, I know that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior.
Yes,
See,
yes.
There we go. I know that one. Yeah, we know some theology.
No,
we know some Bible.
I'm saying we're digging deeper into all these areas.
Yes.
And questioning a lot of things in all these areas in healthy ways. We're learning more. And so we just don't have these little like boxes where it's like, oh, never going to revisit that. Know all the answers there. It's like, I feel like every year our children get older, every week our children get older, and we are revisiting. We're going to the drawing board. And so yeah, just know that. I feel like you guys, we are in this season right now. I mean, you guys just saw, we just did an episode on like the whole vasectomy thing, which is something we never, I mean, both you and I, up until like 3 weeks ago when we did the episode, we're like, this is never going to be something we would ever like talk about or even consider in the slightest, like ever,
Yeah. Again, for the record, I never considered it in the slightest.
In the slightest.
It's really easy for you to consider procedures for me to do, I think. Yeah.
I did feel a lot of angst for it. To be fair, I did not feel peace about that because I was like, if he ever did this, it's going to be because of me, and then something's going to go wrong, and then he's going to hate me for the rest of my life. So I really didn't want to bear that responsibility. So all that said, though, you guys, like, we're in this place right now where it is difficult to podcast, to be perfectly honest, because I feel like I'm processing so much in my brain that I don't want to verbally process to the world. And I'm not like going to get a tattoo or anything.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting nervous. Yeah, I'm like, you really are questioning everything, aren't you?
I'm not questioning everything. But I feel like we're just learning a lot of stuff that we aren't ready to share on because we don't have any answers. So anyways, I mean, that's kind of how we're always progressing as Christians.
Mysterious.
But we are going to talk about homeschooling if we have any regrets, because I do feel like we have a clear answer on some of this stuff, okay? Because we've been there and we have done that when it comes to 4 and 5 year olds.
Hey, there you go.
So that's what we're talking about tonight. Okay, let me just zoom in my zoomy mic here so I can see specifically about this question. I'm going to read it here. So this is a gal that is saying, I'm interested in what you recommend for homeschool prep or enrichment in the early years. I'm so glad to begin, but know that I shouldn't swarm my daughter until she's old enough and just let her live in the poetic mode until she's ready. For reference, let's see how old this gal is. It looks like, okay, 1.5-year-old girl. So this is a little younger than I thought.
Wow.
It says she's been listening to the podcast for the last 4 years. So in fairness, the first time I read this, I thought this daughter was 4 years old. So we're going to approach it from that angle, but I will also, we could talk about 1.5-year-olds too. Okay. Why not? Why not? We've had even more of those. Okay. So she's curious, doesn't want to swarm her daughter. Were there things that you regret doing too early with your kids, or some things you found that satisfied your craving to begin offering them a wonderful education without being too overbearing and schooly too soon? Yeah, I do feel like I wanted to start school early. Obviously, lots of reading, music, and nature time. So I just feel like that's the context we'll go with this from. My regrets, do I feel like we started academics too soon with our kids? And how would you encourage a mom that's very eager, but she has a 1.5-year-old? And so, where are you going to start? What would you say?
Well, I think you're more ready to answer this than I am. Yeah, you're like all reared up and ready to go.
Reared up and ready to go.
I don't know if is that a word, reared up?
Raring to go. I don't know.
Revved up. Maybe you're revved up and rearing to go.
What did I say tonight when we were doing dishes?
You said you're making an elephant out of a molehill.
Yeah, an elephant. I didn't notice. And then Alicia's like, did you just say you're making an elephant out of a molehill?
Yeah.
It's really hard to do if you've tried it. So I don't know actually if I have a lot to share. I'm just going to kind of think on the fly a little bit for this. So I don't regret starting our children when we started them with academics, and going back to Charlotte Mason's gentle, quiet time, or kind of whatever she's encouraging before 6 years old. So a true Charlotte Mason follower will do no formal education until a child's 6 years old, and then aggressively dive in. And I knew that wasn't going to be a good fit for our home because we had many little children stacked in a row, and I had to kind of orchestrate our school year around seasons when I didn't have as much to give the children. So times when I'm morning sick, times when I'm postpartum, times at that time I was working a lot more alongside Elisha as well. And so sometimes the business would have more demands. The kids weren't just my sole focus. And so it wasn't going to be something where I could just drop everything when Leanne turned 6 years old and dive into a really rigorous school schedule. Also, I have always gone, wow, Elisha, you are, so it's funny. I'm the one talking over here, but you're the one motioning at me to kill this gnat or whatever. So I feel like I'm the one who looks like I'm going through a spider web because you're stressed out over there.
If it doesn't bug you, then I'll leave it alone.
It.
I thought it was a mosquito, and I didn't want you to have to deal with mosquito bite.
That's sweet. Yeah, it's okay. So I feel like what was I talking about?
Yeah, you don't regret starting our children early because there was a reason just with the seasons of life.
Yeah, there was a reason with seasons of life. Also, I've always been of the mind that I would just rather, when it comes to something new that I'm insecure about starting, start out ahead and slowly slip backwards if need be, versus start out behind and have to catch up. Or start out on par. Like, I want to give myself a trial period for getting my feet wet and figuring out if I can do this thing. That's just a lot of pressure off of me. So I think, and it honestly takes a lot of pressure off my kids because I'm not expecting great things when we start. So I think that sometimes starting early can be misconstrued as this parental enforcement of something, or putting these demands on a child, where in our home, I viewed it differently, which is, we're going to dabble in this. I'm not going to have any pressure over your achievement or lack thereof because no one's even doing this at your age. So we'll just kind of see how we get along here. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, then we're going to try to figure out a new way to do it. We've got a couple years to figure this out. So I feel like in starting children around 4 years old on some academics, or in my eldest case, I did start him at 3. And that is simply because I was just excited. He didn't need it, but I was excited. He was excited. I feel like an oldest child's always about 3 years ahead. Wow. They want to be 3 years ahead. This is
coming from the oldest child. You were just always so advanced, huh?
No, I'm not saying they're so advanced. In their mind's eye, I feel like they think they're like 3 to 5 years older than
how
they
view themselves, yeah.
Yeah, like every oldest child I've seen, they just like think they are in the next tier.
Yeah, they're ready
life.
to move out. Yeah, when they're like 10.
Like the parents are having to remind themselves how old this child is, and so is the child. So at least that's in my experience. I'm sure there's exceptions to every birth order rule, but I feel like God has gifted the mother that is raring to go, typically with a child that is raring to go as well, and you can just kind of rev right up together, rear right up together. So I have no regrets for that, because I would regret, I feel like, if I had expectations of my children achieving a lot at those ages, but I didn't. It was like, let's just kind of learn this together. Like, how do you draw 3? Let's practice drawing a 3. Let's draw your numbers. Okay, your attention span's about 5 minutes. That's shorter than I thought it would be. Try to figure out what reading style works for you, all those things. So I really feel like dabbling is a beautiful thing to do at whatever age you are excited to dabble with your child. My sister, she had her little, probably as soon as her daughter could speak, 1.5, 2 years old, she would hold up shapes and flashcards. And her daughter was like this little whiz at colors and shapes. And this was her eldest daughter. And my fourth born was sitting over there at 4 years old and was saying pink was blue. Okay, so you see how Rome has fallen from. But the point is this was really fun. It was a bonding thing for my sister and her daughter. And doesn't matter if she learns her shapes at 2 or if she learns them at 5. No, not really. But it could be a fun thing to start. So there's that. I also think in regards to Charlotte Mason's philosophy, Mason, when she explains how you are interacting with your children during those years, it is still very intentional. And she says things like, oh, you could say like the French word for this, or you could tell them all the parts of a plant when you're out in nature, and all the stuff that frankly, I don't know. Okay. I'm not Mason. I'm not whatever French teacher she had teaching the kids. And I'm just not the well-educated mother that has all this knowledge. So for me, a little bit of structure was helpful because I didn't straight up, I just wasn't a walking encyclopedia. Like she assumes that maybe we were back in the day or should be or whatever.
Right. When we go on hikes, I am humbled by how little I know about the plants in this region that we live in. Because the kids ask me, like, what's that called? What's that called? I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, it's kind of humbling.
It is. It's like, yes, children are naturally inquisitive without the textbook, but it's like the teacher who sometimes needs the textbook. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to do like a unit study on flowers and demand my children memorize the flower names when they are just enthralled with nature. But I do need a resource to be able to answer their questions. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you to put all your energy, since your child's 1.5, this listener, into developing your foundational threshold. And this is something that I talk about in the Get It All Done Club. But that is placing a high level of discipline on yourself and your home and your personal learning. I would devour books right now at this stage. I would invest in home management and have your home flowing very smoothly. I would learn for your own sake and study for your own sake and take courses if you want. Like, put that desire for academia on yourself, because that is something that as your child grows and they start demanding more time, you can offload and all of a sudden you have more free time. Because the thing is that if you allow yourself to become maxed out with your 2 children and living your life, say you aren't working from home or you aren't, whatever the case may be, just, I don't know what your situation is, but pack your plate full is what I would encourage you. Have a home hobby, have your home full for hospitality, help your husband in his business, start clubs, start things, just like build your plate full, because that gives you the luxury of getting rid of those things, because when your children start to homeschool. And it will also scratch that itch that you want to scratch with your daughter right now, but she's not quite at the stage to be able to fully maximize it.
Yeah, because what I was going to say, and maybe this is kind of the point you were getting to there, is I don't think that that's too young of an age, regardless of what you do academically. Mm-hmm. Showing the joy and the blessing of work and of being industrious with your time and stewarding your time well, I think is critical. And I think children are never too young to see you doing that, and also to start showing them how to do that themselves. Mm-hmm. Yes, you let them play, you let them have carefree timelessness, but our boys especially, I think Lucy was the same way, I just can't remember as clearly, take so much pleasure in working with me, working on projects and by themselves. And I know Charlotte Mason says that, playing is a child's work. And so that can like go hand in hand, I think, at that age. But I also think that you just exemplifying like what you're saying, having a very full plate, having to really manage your time wisely is a really good thing, not only for your own sake and preparing managing time as once you step into homeschooling, but exemplifying that to your child and realizing like, it's not that you're running around to and fro from commitment to commitment and never able to talk to your kid, but you've got a full life and you're able to bring that child in to hosting, and you're preparing meals and you're, cleaning and you're, whatever, like working on projects in the house and around the home, can really be a gift to that child. And it's teaching them, ideally, especially if you're relational in those moments, teaching them the gift of work.
Yeah, little things like bringing them into, they can empty the trash can, they can, just put the silverware away. Just doing things with you at this season is going to be so fun for them, and it's going to give them a little bit of structure in their day. The 1,000 hours outside, I feel like it's great for this season because, again, it gives you structure of a goal that you're trying to achieve with your child. I feel like Montessori really hits on this desire for mothers to input into their children, but not really sure how to do it. Like in these stages, Montessori is a thing I see a lot of women turn to. We never got super into that. But again, I think that's because my plate was kind of full during this time, and I saw, I kind of want to maximize these years myself before the kids start demanding more. attention. I think when it comes to putting pressures or, squelching your children with academia, that can happen at any season, and you're going to know best for your child. It's not a certain age. It's going to be how it's presented. It's going to be what the child's ready for, and it's going to be what you're requiring of them. And all that is going to be a very intimate dynamic between you as the mother teacher and your child. So what might be fun for your child might be, soul crushing for another child. And there really isn't any philosophy that can tell you what's right for your child in that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can learn something from different philosophies and apply it.
For sure. But it's not like there's a magical number at like 5 years old or 6 years old or whatever age kids start at a public kindergarten or preschool or some other method. Mm-hmm. It's just like in classical conversations, for instance, kids love chanting the little chanty songs at 4 years old. And yeah, they aren't going to retain it unless you do it every year. So it might be impressive for a year and then they'll forget the next year. But I think something that's really beautiful and something that you can never do too much of, really, is memorization. Little children love to memorize, and they are great little parrots, and they're very proud of themselves, and they like things that repeat. And so instead of singing dumb little songs like Baby Shark, that was the last time I think I heard a dumb little popular song. I'm sure there's something new. But kids love to just repeat whatever they hear. So, sing the timeline song that Classical Conversations puts out, or have them memorize poetry, sing hymns together, memorize hymns, memorize passages of scripture. It's so precious to hear scripture quoted by little voices. Catechisms, catechizing your kids, and have a 1.5-year-old or 2-year-old can do a catechism that's short. And so I think things like this, reading Bible stories to the children, you can have a little 20 or 30 minute structure in your day. Maybe at 1.5 or 2 years old, you're doing 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But you can really input a lot when it comes to those things. Yeah.
And, something else I would ask, because this is going to be different for each person too, is what's the alternative, right? Like, what are you taking them away from, or what are they going to resort to if you're not doing school at this young age and you're not getting things like memorization started at a young age? Because they might have a very full life with, I don't know, they might live next to cousins, that are like, that are just that you're having to pull them away from at 3 years old or 4 years old and really paint like academics in a bad light. You're going to be like, man, this could be a big time bummer here. But if they're just going to be sitting in front of a screen, it's like, well, you know what? Like, let's get the school going. Like that could be a really fun thing for them. So I do think it is worth asking, what else would you be doing? What are you doing this instead of? And I think that oftentimes we are opting out of something. We need to realize what we're inevitably defaulting to. Like we're going to default to something. And so, and the kids will too. They've got to put their time somewhere, and being realistic with what that is.
That's a good point. So the whole time our children were younger, we lived with near family for a very short period of that time. And we only had one car throughout that whole period of time. So I was home all day with the kiddos. And it was great. It was them, it was me. And like you said, 15 or 20 minutes of doing something that people could deem academic, but it was really just a bonding, fun thing for them and for myself. And it was rewarding for me to see them learn new things, and they were proud to show Elisha. And it's not like they wouldn't have caught up and surpassed. Like all my younger children have started later. Okay. Because I'm just kind of like, I don't have the time to do that. And you're busy playing with your younger siblings or your older siblings. So I'm not going to bring in my 2-year-old or my 3-year-old or even, my 4-year-old. I feel like that's kind of when they start wanting to come in.
Yes.
So I will say like my 4.5-year-old, that's when we start a little bit of math, a little bit of reading, because they want it at that stage.
Yeah. They feel left out.
Yeah. They start feeling like, hey, I want to be like the big siblings there. Same with music. All those things could wait until they're 6, but they feel left out. And so that's when we start instituting those things consistently. And I will say this, people will say, well, it's nice that your kids want to do that at 4 years old or 5 years old, like my children don't. And I will say, once my children desire to start something and they've done it for a week or two and then it gets boring and they don't like it, I continue to institute it. It's like once they've shown interest, then I know, okay, we are getting on this roller coaster and some days you're going to love it, some days you aren't, but now the consistency is going to be maintained by mommy. So I don't give them this option anymore.
This just happened with our 4-year-old and the fiddle. He was so eager to get his own fiddle and to get started because his 3 older siblings were all playing and doing lessons with me. And we got him his fiddle and it arrived with great, anticipation and he was thrilled. And we did, I think, 2 lessons and he was over it. Like he was so eager for that first lesson, the second lesson, and then he just didn't want to do it anymore. But we kept doing the lessons and here we are maybe 6 weeks later. Do you think that's probably how long he's been going? Yeah. And he's full on had a breakthrough and is actually doing the thing now and is loving it again. And so that was kind of crazy to witness here over the last 6 weeks where it was that whole, he was just stoked out of his brain. He did not want to be left out. And then shortly, once he realized what it entailed, he's kind of like, this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. Like he didn't want to do his lessons and didn't want to practice, but we still did it. And then there was an actual breakthrough of him learning some technical, abilities. And now he's enjoying it again.
Yeah, because at this point, the character formation starts. And so academics becomes a guide for character formation. That's how we're viewing it. I do not care if they know all their numbers when they are 4 or when they are 5 or honestly until probably 5.5. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? It's just beyond where they need to be. I'm not worried about it. But once they've indicated they are ready, then we don't quit things that we start. And now it's something that you get to learn to love. And so, and when I'm saying this, I'm saying like 5 minutes a subject.
Right. That's how long my lessons are with Lawrence.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're 5 minutes. He does 5 minutes for math and he does 5 minutes for reading in the afternoon.
Our 4-year-old.
Yeah, our 4-year-old. All 5 minutes are split up. It's not a lot of demands on his time. I mean, this could be the same if you're living on a farm and you have him feed the pigs or something. It's just little demands on his time that are teaching him responsibility and are teaching him that we do things that we don't want to have to do. It could be academics. It could be some other form of work. But really, we just view academics in our home as work. You're going to work for your entire life. And once you start working, we don't just do it when we want to.
Right.
We consistently follow through on working.
Yes. The exact same thing applies to chores for sure around the house. Or if you do live on a property or on a farm, just doing it because you have to do it.
Yeah. But I would say that this time also for you as a mother is a luxury because once your children do start, you're getting on the roller coaster with them and you're staying consistent with them. So really considering, okay, how, and seeking the Lord and seeking your husband and being like, how can I personally maximize the next, few years? But this time is something that you don't get back in mothering. And so what could this is kind of your last chance in some ways to do something that can maybe set you up for the future that you'd like to do before you kind of buckle down to start homeschooling. And that's not to say that homeschooling is drudgery. I love homeschooling. I was in a rush to start and I don't regret it. I've loved it. And the kids have loved it and it's been wonderful, except for the days they haven't. But overall, it's been good. So I would just dive in and then just be real thoughtful of your child because you can do all the right things and then you could start school at 6 and then they could hate school at 7. It's not this guarantee that it's like marriage, right? It's like you could do all the right things.
You hated it?
No, but I'm saying you could do all the right things. And I feel like people will get married and then they have a bad marriage at year 3 and blame it on, well, I did all the right things and I have a bad marriage at year 3. And it's like, well, it's consistently over time, constantly reevaluating, constantly checking in, seeking the Lord, that person that you're in relationship with. So it's not like this guarantee, if you wait X amount of years, then all of a sudden your child is going to feel light and all of a sudden not want to play outside anymore. And they're just going to want to sit down to their books. And that's not going to happen either. So there is this love of learning element that is fantastic. And then there is this character building element where we chafe against work. And I think that it's easy as a parent to go heavy on one side or the other. And both of us, I feel like, I can speak for myself, I'm constantly seeking out the balance in that with each individual child. I feel like I fall into both ditches.
Same. I always feel like it's a ditch for me. And I don't know what the balanced life looks like. Everybody's seeking the balanced life, right? And I get fixated on work and them developing skills and getting better and me doing it with them. And I'm like, this is great. This is how we need to live every minute of every day. And then we all, like lay out in the sun after sitting in the creek, and the kids just talk and we're laying and drying off. I'm like, oh, this is what we need. We just need this carefree, no agenda, lay in the sun. We need more of this. I don't know. Yeah. So,
yeah, I feel like I would say our approach to life really is a little bit of this and a little bit of that in terms of, I don't want my kids to be like, wow, before I was 6, I just had this carefree, poetic childhood. And I know that that's not what people are saying when they say that. I do want to I don't want to put a burden on my children before they can carry it. But then it's like, well, then academics hits you in the face. And then what,
Yeah.
And so it's like, no, this joy and this childhood up my whole life. Like I have carefree hours now, like Elisha said, where I'm hanging out with the children, or we're going on a walk, or we're working out, or we're at the lake. And these are just fun, carefree times. Or we're in nature on hikes. And I don't want that to stop when academics starts, but I don't think academics has to murder the joy of anything.
Yep.
Of that carefree timelessness. I think it can accentuate the joy. It can make the weekends sweeter. It makes the afternoons when school's done sweeter. It makes breaks with siblings all of a sudden more rewarding. And the academics in and of themselves are fun sometimes, and they stink sometimes.
Yes.
And so I think that we just have to embrace that too. Because if it wasn't hard, then it wouldn't be worth pursuing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are modeling to our children what I think is the life we're supposed to be pursuing as Christians. And that is the way God created us: work 6 days, rest 1, like just having work built into your life for forever. Like there is, and it, like you said, if you break it up into well, this is the fun time, this is the work time, this is the fun time, you can, pit those things against each other versus just viewing it in perpetuity, realizing, oh, God made me to work for forever. And get retirement out of your vernacular, and get just like, I'm just going to work. That doesn't mean you can't quit your job, or like move on from your job, but you're going to move on to other work, because I just think we're created to work for as long as we live, and then rest and enjoy the Lord and what He's done for us.
And we do crave these clear timelines, because even on our, talking about family planning, I think there's this element of like, oh, it'd be nice to be in the trenches with all the diapers at once. And then we're just out of that season. Right. And something that Elisha and I did intentionally really desire early on was a marriage that wasn't just all about the children when we were child rearing, and then maybe one day it would be all about us when we got them out of the house or whatever. We wanted a marriage that was going to have sweet times for us and times when our marriage was the priority within that family.
Yes.
And so I think that's something that is a real gift, because we don't feel like we're just like putting our marriage on hold, or we can't enjoy each other. We can't have these heightened moments of just being able to enjoy each other, or friendship, Elisha. But on the flip side, we're also able to enjoy our children, and it all can happen in the same season.
Yes. I think it has.
I think it has. I think it can. So I don't know if that's helpful at all when it comes to whether or not to start your child. I think a lot of it depends on what Elisha said. What you have going on in your life. What are you taking them away from? Because taking them away to do something else might be a net loss, or it might be a net gain at a young age. And at a certain point, it's just a net gain.
Yes.
So I think that's why the younger years are kind of disputed.
Yes.
It's like the tertiary issue in academic schooling. It's like everyone agrees that children need to start a formal education at some point. Well, not everyone. but most people agree.
Sure.
And then those early years are the most disputed. And I think they do. I think those years just have so much joy regardless, because there's no pressure on the child to do anything,
Right.
whether you do something or whether you not, or whether you don't.
Or whether you not.
Whether you do or whether you not is up to you. There's no pressure.
No pressure, guys. No pressure. Okay. Don't feel any pressure from us. That's the last thing we want to do is put pressure on you.
Definitely not. No, seriously.
Yeah, I'm being serious. That's why he said that.
I do feel like that's why in our home, it's like things have gotten later and later, because calling in our, my 4-year-old now to do an extra page of math when he's hanging out with his siblings on the trampoline, having a blast squirting the hose, is a net loss for me.
Right.
Whereas for his eldest brother and his eldest sister, it was not, because they were out sitting in the dirt being like, what do we do?
Right.
So it's like, hey, I've got something. You can
Yes.
hang out with mommy. And they were stoked out of their minds.
Right.
So, yeah.
That makes a ton of
Keep that
sense.
in mind.
Yep. Folks, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.